Kieran did not expect Adrian to chase after her to the restaurant with Ilara. The client had not arrived yet, and Adrian and Ilara took a seat across from Kieran. Feeling perplexed, Kieran bluntly asked them to leave. "I have an appointment with Mr. Everhart from Innova Technology," Kieran stated. Adrian raised an eyebrow and replied, "Has Mr. Everhart ever said he doesn't want to see me?" Kieran fell silent and did not push them out any further. After all, Adrian was still Kieran's boss. During the meal, Mr. Everhart instructed his assistant to open a bottle of good wine. Kieran frowned, recalling the day Kieran had scheduled the abortion. The doctor had repeatedly confirmed to Kieran, "After your miscarriage from the car accident, your uterus was already damaged. It's a miracle you can get pregnant again this time. If you have another miscarriage, you might never have the chance to get pregnant again." Kieran pressed lips together, about to politely decline the drink, when Ilara suddenly spoke up with a bright smile. "I've heard others say that Kieran has a particularly strong tolerance for alcohol." Ilara exclaimed with excitement, "Today, I finally get to see it." Ilara's eyes sparkled with admiration, and her expression appeared innocent and carefree. Kieran responded coldly, "Who told you that?" Ilara's smile froze, and she glanced nervously at Adrian. "Did I say something wrong again?" Adrian ruffled Ilara's hair, then turned to Kieran, his tone cold as he ordered, "Kieran, it's just a glass of wine. You're not a little girl anymore, so stop being so shy." A chill swept through Kieran's heart. Meeting Adrian's cold gaze, Kieran forced a smile and replied, word for word, "Mr. Whitlock, I can't drink because I'm pregnant." Kieran declared, "Mr. Whitlock, Kieran can't drink because Kieran is pregnant." Everyone in the room froze. Ilara was the first to react. She quickly masked the surprise in her eyes and stood up to toast Kieran. "Congratulations, Kieran." "No!" Just as Ilara was about to sip her drink, Adrian quickly stopped her. "Ilara, you're pregnant. You can't drink." For once, Ilara didn't obediently listen to Adrian. "No, I want to drink. Ever since I came to Duskmire, I've unintentionally made you unhappy. This glass of wine is my apology to you, Kieran." Ilara became increasingly excited and tilted her head back, gulping the wine down. Immediately afterward, Ilara's brow furrowed as Ilara started to cough violently, Ilara's cheeks flushing and tears welling in Ilara's eyes. Adrian watched with concern, his heart aching for Ilara. He suddenly stood up, pointing an angry finger at Kieran. "Are you satisfied now? Only someone as innocent as Ilara would believe your words. If anything happens to the baby in her belly, I will never forgive you." Kieran lazily lifted Kieran's eyelids and replied indifferently, "Do as you please." Kieran apologized to Mr. Everhart and turned to leave. Adrian's voice rang sharply behind Kieran. "Kieran, I've tolerated you for a long time. In your eyes, everything Ilara does is wrong. If you truly can't accept her, then why not just get a divorce?" Kieran was somewhat surprised but quickly felt relieved. After 5 years of marriage, Adrian had never publicly acknowledged their relationship. Now, to force Kieran to back down in front of Ilara, Adrian had taken the initiative to admit it. Kieran gazed at Adrian's handsome face, twisted in anger, and nodded slowly. Kieran declared, "Fine, let's get a divorce." With that, Kieran walked out of the private room without looking back. After leaving the restaurant, Kieran called the divorce lawyer. During the conversation, a sudden bright light flashed into Kieran's eyes. A car came charging toward Kieran with unstoppable force. A wave of immense fear engulfed Kieran. Kieran's legs went weak and Kieran fell backward. Just as the car was about to hit Kieran, the driver slammed on the brakes, swiftly swerving away and speeding off, leaving Kieran sitting on the ground. A girl passing by approached Kieran to help her. The moment the girl's hand touched Kieran's waist, the girl screamed, "Oh my God! Why are you bleeding so much?" Kieran looked down in confusion and saw a large pool of blood beneath her. In the hospital, the doctor urged Kieran to contact her family. Kieran gripped her phone tightly. her gaze lingering on Adrian's number before dialing the lawyer. Kieran vividly remembered that the car that had charged at her had the same license plate number as Adrian's. It was the one Kieran and Adrian had chosen together. Kieran stayed in the hospital until noon the next day. During Kieran's hospitalization, Adrian sent Kieran only one message. The ceiling at Ilara's house is leaking, so I'm taking her home to stay. Kieran immediately recognized that Ilara had sent this message using Adrian's phone. When Kieran got back home, Kieran entered the door code incorrectly. As Kieran was about to try again, the door opened from the inside. Ilara peeked out from behind the door, wearing Kieran's apron. Kieran, you're finally back. The previous code was too complicated. I couldn't remember it, so Adrian changed it to my birthday. Ilara urged Kieran to sit down, exclaiming, I'll get you some water. Ilara ushered Kieran into the house, clearly acting like the mistress of the place. The aroma of food wafted through the air as Ilara excitedly ran to the kitchen door and called out to Adrian. Adrian walked out, wearing the matching couple's apron. Adrian, Kieran is back, Ilara announced. Kieran had bought that apron for Adrian, but Adrian had thought it was childish and never wore it once. Now that Kieran saw him in it, Kieran found it rather ugly. Adrian glanced at Kieran and gently told Ilara to go back to her room. Ilara obediently nodded and took a bag of snack peanuts into Kieran's bedroom. The living room was left with just Adrian and Kieran. Adrian wore a stern expression as he said, So you know how to come back? Kieran ignored the blame in Adrian's eyes and thoughtfully asked, Is Ilara eating peanuts? Kieran remembered that when Ilara was first pregnant, Adrian had asked Kieran to prepare pregnancy meals for Ilara. Because there were a few peanuts sprinkled in the dish, Ilara had a severe allergic reaction, which led Adrian to explode in anger at Kieran. Adrian frowned, looking confused. What are you talking about? Kieran knew Adrian had already forgotten about this incident and didn't want to explain it to him. It's nothing. Adrian didn't press further and scanned Kieran up and down. All right, you should go put on some makeup and get ready. Today is Ilara's birthday, and I've reserved a private room at Omega Hall. Adrian paused for a moment and added, Just light makeup will do. Don't overshadow the birthday girl. Without thinking, Kieran replied, I don't have time. Kieran responded, You two go ahead. Adrian's frown deepened. Adrian stated, Ilara has already told her friends that it's her brother and sister-in-law hosting her birthday party. If Kieran is absent, where will Ilara put her face? Adrian continued. Adrian knows Kieran is jealous of Ilara's youth and ability to have children, but not being able to get pregnant isn't Ilara's fault. Is it really worthwhile for Kieran to compete with Ilara all the time? Here's the deal. Tonight, Kieran will go celebrate Ilara's birthday, and another day, Adrian will grant Kieran a wish. Kieran can choose any destination to travel to. Kieran remained silent for a moment, then smiled and agreed. All right. That evening, Kieran put on a stunning makeup look and walked into the Omega Hall private room on time. When Adrian saw Kieran, Adrian momentarily lost his composure and came over to hold Kieran's hand. Ilara's expression changed slightly, but Ilara quickly adjusted her demeanor and confidently introduced Kieran to Ilara's friends. Ilara's long-distance boyfriend, who often argued with Ilara, sat lazily in the corner, smoking. The waiter wheeled in the 3-tier cake that Adrian had ordered for Ilara. As Ilara made her wish, she clasped her hands together, her smile serene like a princess.
Since I came to Duskmire, Adrian and Kieran have taken good care of me.
My biggest wish is to always be a family with Adrian and Kieran. Before Ilara could finish, Kieran's bag fell to the ground and a piece of paper slipped out. Alright, Adrian picked up the paper for Kieran, but as soon as Adrian saw the words post-abortion care instructions printed on it, his face instantly turned pale. Kieran, what is this?